Thank you for listening to the Matt's Movie Reviews podcast, available on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Stitcher. Also, please follow Matt's Movie Reviews on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Reddit, Instagram, and MeWe. And of course, be sure to visit mattsmoviereviews.net for the latest reviews, top 10 lists, and more. Now, on to the show.
Our goal's pretty simple. I want to help you get what's in here and just splash it onto there. Don't worry, it's not rocket science. It's harder. Thanks for going to a special place with me, Carl Nargle.
Cut it.
That tree is probably too tall. Brace yourself, you are going to get some calls from that.
Mr. Nargle, it is an honor to meet you, sir.
Wait, what's going on?
Hi, friends, and welcome to Paint with Ambrosia.
It takes paint to a whole new place, and it's been a lot of places.
Good night, everyone.
I've never seen him that mad.
Does this mean I'm your here? Don't let fame bring out the worst in you.
A real man never looks back. These new tote bags.
It's only because yours weren't selling.
You're lucky I'm an artist instead of a woman who says really mean things to other women.
You were an artist.
The real artist follows his heart. My Uber is here.
I don't know what that is.
It's goodbye.
How's everything going?
Awesome.
What's the image tucked away in your brain that makes your heart ache and your soul feel like it's going to burst?
Carl is one-dimensional and very sexist. You know I don't care what people say about me.
PBS Burlington.
Carl stole my newspaper.
Yes, we're aware that Carl is stealing newspapers. Please hold.
Hello and welcome to the Matt's Movie Reviews podcast. I am your host, Matthew Pejkovic, and this is episode number 519. Releasing April 7 in cinemas across the US is Paint, a comedy that stars Owen Wilson as Carl Nargle, a painter and popular personality on public television who has an existential crisis when a younger, better artist steals everything Carl loves. Also starring Michaela Watkins and Stephen Root, Paint also marks a feature film debut of Brit McAdams, who I'm glad to say joins me now on a podcast. Brit, how are you today?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. You know, I watched Paint a couple of nights ago, and I got to say, it was a film that I absolutely loved. And just reading about the film, this has been something that's been with you for quite some time now. We're talking like 13, 14 years when you first wrote that screenplay. It was on the blacklist. It was something that you worked on for a very long time. I'm really curious, though, going way, way back when it comes to the character of Carl Nargle, was the template for the character always this kind of Bob Ross type of kind of reflection, this kind of template? Was that kind of like the initial inspiration that kind of sparked to create this creative journey that you had that now is going to come to the masses coming next week?
Yeah, it for sure was, in terms of I always like the idea of just I worked at VH1 when it was a music TV channel when I was in my 20s, and there was a woman there who in meetings was the most soft-spoken person I've ever met in my life. And she had this incredible power over the room where she would, just whisper, and she'd say, "Why? I think maybe the idea might be," and the whole room would get so quiet and pay attention to her. And I was amazed at the power she had over all of these, blustery folks fighting for attention. And I really liked that idea of that power that someone could have by speaking more softly. And so that I was just very aware of her as a person and just fascinated with how she could control a conversation. And part of that working at VH1 also was that I spent a lot of time with musicians who were my heroes, and realized that although they were still my heroes on stage, off stage, some of them weren't the best folks. And it's really, really hard. That's a hard thing. It's like you almost don't want to meet people because you're like, oh, please just stay the amazing person I've always thought you are. At the same time, there's also like met David Bowie, who is the nicest person ever. Like, so you get that where you're like, oh, thank goodness. But so I always like the idea of someone having, if you were a rock star, basically, which Carl Nargle is, at age 22, what would you become if you never had to evolve beyond that? Like if you never experienced failure. And so if you thought you had the world figured out at 22, when you're in your 40s or 50s, what would you be at that point? And so, I like the idea of this soft-spoken person who could just dominate, any conversation or and an artist, which is even more powerful than a rock star in a lot of ways. What if this person, the most soft-spoken, seemingly nicest person in the world, who is just an icon to so many people in this small world, what if that person wasn't the nicest person in the world, and also someone who was trapped in the past, and what would that person look like? And that's who Carl Nargle is. He's not a bad person, but he's just never evolved into being a good person.
How soon did Owen Wilson become involved in the project? Because I think it's one of his best performances. And from what I understand, he was kind of like there, I wouldn't say at really early stages, but he's been with you for quite a while now, kind of really developing this character and his part in your screenplay.
Yeah, he's someone who one of the great things about Owen is that he it's funny, I'll be like, why don't you write anymore? Like, why don't you write? And he'll be like, well, I'm on a hot air balloon with my sons in Maui right now. So it's like, and then I'm like, oh, right. That's why. So, he's an Oscar nominated writer and wrote a lot of the early movies with Wes Anderson. And so he's just been doing everything so long in this world, where he, in a lot of ways, is aware of Carl Nargle's, the people who were huge rock stars in their early 20s, who in some ways are trapped in those lives and haven't evolved beyond that. So, Owen, I've never seen Owen on a phone. He reads nonstop and he experiences life nonstop. And he's just a really, really he's a good person, and he's also a really creative person who just sees the world differently and has a real appreciation for character and wants to tell. I mean, if you look at Wes Anderson's movies, you'll never see a character you see somewhere else. And I think a lot of what Owen brings to this film, especially, is this perspective on life and being a rock star at an early age. And then also someone who has this incredible writing background, where, going through a script, if something bumps him, he's got a reason for it, if something doesn't feel right. And also I think with that influence, he brought out all the nicest, the niceties. Is that a word? Of the
it
film.
Is now.
So yeah. So, that was one of the things he really did, was he like, even as I talk to him now about, various things in life or how jokes are told, he gravitates towards a spin on something that's positive or unusual and unlikely. So I think that's a lot of his influence on the script and the world, was that, where there's a version of the joke that is nicer, seemingly nicer, or there's an unawareness to jokes that can be unexpected without punching down on characters. It's something where as long as a character is trying and they have something specific they're aspiring to, you can find real humor in people trying to be nice, which in a lot of ways in a world of PBS, you have this world where everyone, almost by definition is nice in that world. So yeah, he just brought so much to the film, not just as an actor. And I do think he really is incredible in the film as an actor, but in every way possible. And he's also a really good guy. So it's like, he just makes everything easier. They talk about top of the call sheet, sort of setting the tone. Top of the call sheet meaning like, the biggest star of the film is first on a call sheet, which is the call sheet's what it tells you where to go and set in the morning, whatever else. That's too much information. But he really sets the tone where he's just a good guy. So, and that just, everyone else can be nicer if you see the person who's top of the call sheet being nice. So in every way, he just made everything easier.
The Matt's Movie Reviews podcast is brought to you by TeePublic. TeePublic is the world's largest marketplace for independent creators to sell their work on the highest quality merchandise. With over 1.2 million designs, TeePublic is sure to have something you love. The Matt's Movie Reviews podcast is brought to you by Amazon. The world's leading online store, Amazon is your first stop to buy a wide range of products at competitive prices with fast delivery times. Amazon is also a world-class entertainment hub that includes Prime Video, Audible, Twitch, Amazon Music, and more. Sign up with Amazon today and experience the best in online shopping and entertainment. Please support Matt's Movie Reviews on Patreon. Get access to exclusive content, request movie reviews and top 10 lists, and help support my work. Please click on the Patreon link in the description below. Oh, there's a theme that's running in the movie that really hit me. So in my house, I got two boys. And I got a oldest boy. He's autistic, and sometimes he feels pressures that other kids wouldn't feel. And I always say to him, "There's no such thing as perfection." I say to him, "We don't do perfection in this house. It's practice is not perfect. Practice is progress." That's what we say in this house. And the thing about Carl that's really interesting to him is that it seems like that his artistic expression isn't so much anymore about what's in his heart and put it onto a blank canvas. It's just about the pursuit of some type of perfection, which isn't there. Because perfection, I think, as I clearly indicated, I just don't believe it's something that can be attained. Is that kind of like whole thing about Carl's kind of like desire to find the perfect image or have this image in his head and kind of project it in the most perfect kind of way, that kind of really causes that inner conflict within him? Was that something that was always there within the screenplay? Was that something that kind of grows organically as you as a person grow, because you are as a man growing as a person at the same time as you're developing the screenplay? Because I've talked to a lot of people about making films, and I think 14 years, I think, might be a record in regards to how long a movie has gone from initial idea in the words into what we see on the screen.
Yeah, there's a tremendous amount of failure in there. And that can be really, really helpful. I think, this idea of painting the perfect picture, for me, that's so much of our world now is painting the perfect picture in your Instagram post or your filters on your cameras, and I think we really just tear ourselves down. And it's, we're so judgmental of the whole world and everything, and there are no perfect pictures. So, he sort of has to grow beyond that and paint from his heart, and not, he wants to be seen as a real artist. He's a TV star, but he wants to be seen as a real artist. So he's always fighting to paint the perfect version of Mount Mansfield that will get him recognized by the Burlington Museum of Art. And so, but until he actually paints his truth, he doesn't sort of, and his truth is flawed, and it's sadness. So, it is that thing of our world now is where we really do care so much about what the outward parts of ourselves, and this idea that, he has a line that, if you're always trying to paint the perfect picture, you're just going to miss the best parts of life. And I think that's just the truth of it. Like, I know, I can be really, really hard on myself. Like, I can tell you, we had a premiere on the 23rd, and boy, I wish I hadn't tucked my shirt in. My wife's like, "It was a great night." And I'm like, "Yeah, but..." So it never stops. Like, I can tell you everything I've done wrong today, and it's a long list. So I think that's a big part of life is, getting to the point where you can just be good to yourself. I say this to, like, my dad is 86 and, has set world records as a pilot and stuff. And he's walking with a cane. And so he really hates that. And I say to him, I'm like, you need to be as kind to yourself as you are to others. And if you met yourself, you would be so impressed with who you are. I think that's part of the film is sort of being able to move beyond what you project and just be, find that truth of these are the best things I have to offer. And that's great.
I want to talk about some of the cast you have in this film. It's really interesting. Michaela Watkins, Stephen Root, Wendy McAdams. These are really great actors. Not only that, though, but these are actors who are really great with improv. They come from different acting schools and acting groups where we're using improv and stuff is a really part of their tools. When it comes to a screenplay like yours, where you've worked on it for a really long time, you finally have it on the set and you have your actors and everything, do you encourage your actors to play with the material because they are so able to do so? Or how do you go about approaching working with actors when it comes to saying your words on the screen?
Well, this was unique because we were shooting during COVID and we had a 20-day shoot. And so we knew we were going to be tight for time. And so we actually improvised very, very little. And we shot it. We really ripped off the Coen brothers in terms of stylistically how they film stuff, which is basically we shot a lot of clean singles. And a clean single is where basically the frame we're looking at right now, which is you're just seeing me and I'm just seeing you. And so when you film something that way, the other characters in a scene can be doing anything. And it won't mess up this take. It won't mess up this angle. So the Coen brothers do that a lot. They shoot on 27 or 32 millimeter lenses, basically, where you feel someone's hands. Like you can feel someone's hands, and people become a little bit more comedic that way. So we knew we had very little time in general to shoot this, and we really needed to be tight and not have a lot of takes we didn't use. So we really, really fought for the script itself to be the best version of itself, and talked to the actors about it a lot, and really got it to a place where it was tight. And we just really couldn't afford. It's a fine line of in terms of keeping the storytelling as tight as it possibly can be, where you really do need a scene to serve a few purposes. And so in our scenes really need to get from point A to point B, and heavy improv in there could really derail stuff. So now people are playing with lines and certainly putting their own spin on stuff, but we really, really did stick to the script for the most part. And that's just the nature of trying to be as smart with the production as possible. And I think if we hadn't didn't have the constraints of shooting in a COVID world and everything else, I think we would have gotten more improv in there. But this is we really did shoot the script for the most part.
Final question. As we talked about, this film's been with you for a very long time. Paint's going to release April 7. Everyone's going to be able to see it. You had your premiere recently. How does it feel now that this screenplay that you worked on for so long, this film that you worked on for so long, is going to be seen by the masses? How does that feel for yourself? Because you know what they say, a movie or art is never died. It's kind of, you just let it be. You put your work on the canvas, and now people are going to watch what's on the canvas. So how does that feel for you to be able to finally be in a position where people can experience what has been in your heart and your mind for so long?
I mean, it's a little surreal. It's I'm just thankful as much as anything. I'm aware of how easily this could not be a part of my life. So, and it's, I living in LA where my wife is a comedian and does great. But we also have had times in our lives where things have absolutely fallen apart, and just nothing's worked. And refinancing a used car to pay bills is a tough moment. So, and we have so many friends, so many talented people out here who are so good at what they do, and for whatever reason, stuff falls apart and it doesn't happen. So I'm just thankful. I'm beyond thankful that, I mean, this took a long time to get made, but the fact that it exists is a remarkable moment in my life. And I'm just thankful that it does exist, because it could not. It could so easily not. So many things have to line up to basically create a company that will, you create a company that makes a film when you make an independent film. So there's so many things that could fall apart there. And so just the fact that we have so many talented people who came on board, and Owen believing in this and really embracing it, and that unlocking this whole other world, as much as anything, I'm thankful. Like I know how easily this could not have happened. So yeah, thankful.
So for everyone out there listening, April 7 across the US in theaters is Paint. I recommend everyone check out this film, buy a movie ticket, watch it in theaters. The more movies like Paint we have in theaters, the better we all are, because we need more filmmakers like Brit McAdams making films and movies like Paint in the movie theaters. Watch it for the performances. Watch it for Patrick Caddy's really, really beautiful kind of crisp photography as well. The scenery in this movie is just fantastic. And yeah, I really recommend people check this out. Watch it in a movie theater as well. I can't encourage it enough. We need more independent films like this to be seen in movie theaters. The more movies we have in the theaters like this, the better we all are. And Brit McAdams, I thank you so very much for your time. Congratulations for the film, and best of luck with everything that's coming up.
Thank you so much, man. That's just the nicest word. So thanks, Matt.
Thank you for watching the Matt's Movie Reviews channel. Please subscribe for more reviews, podcast interviews, and exclusive content. Also, if you would like to request a review and support my work, please join my Patreon via the link in the description below.